Yes.
Spooky introduction.
Rock's going to be on in a sec. I finally heard from Rock. He's going to be on in a sec. So, did you want to do your Hollow Earth posting? Did you say you had some more Hollow Earth posting to do?
Oh, yeah, guys. It's I don't even remember where I read this. As far as I know, it could be just like the beginnings of schizophrenia. But I heard apparently that special forces around the world, they're training for underground warfare, and apparently a lot of like fighting in time.
What shit? I think you're in.
I suppose. Hello, is my audio all right?
Yeah, whatever that word was you just said, it just dropped out.
Oh, okay. Well, suffice to say, I did a bit of looking into it. It seems a lot of the research, a lot of the training these days is based for underground fighting. And I suppose one could say, yeah, because say there's an EMP attack or there's a coronal mass ejection, which is effectively an EMP attack from the sun, where one side that faces one side of the Earth that faces the sun will just get completely wiped. Well, I say wiped out, or get turned back to the Stone Age, which will result in millions of people dying of starvation and electricity and all that. But the fact is there will be like protected bunkers and deep underground military bases.
Dums.
So yeah,
Dums. I believe the people in the know call them
Dums.
Yep. Deep underground military bases.
Deep underground military bases.
Well, I've got 6 people watching, but no one's chatting.
I know. They're all waiting for any insights into schizophrenia posting. Well, in the meantime, whilst you guys are watching and not commenting, hit the like button. And if you dislike it, unsubscribe, close the window, throw your computer out the window, and then have a walk and think on what you're doing in your life.
What was I going to say? Have you seen the purple-haired feminist witches on TikTok claim that the moon has been hexed by witches?
Oh yeah, I haven't looked at the moon recently. Is there anything new on it?
Don't know. It just says they don't even tell you what the hex has done. They just say that it has been.
Well, I mean, in recent
with this big shift in the energy from gods many of us work with, as they're angry, practitioners and worshippers, and honestly anyone spiritually in tune, may feel mood swings, unable to do spell work, and just overall anyone's energy has been thrown off. And a lot of us are very anxious now, wrote Jules Marie, one of the witches on the platform.
What, are they on the blob strop then?
Could well be.
Yeah.
I think they're just saying that. I think they're just saying that. I don't know. Witches get their energy from the moon.
I mean, the only thing is, I mean, that's kind of symbolic, aren't they? Because they're saying that the sun's male and it's radiative, and the moon is female and it's reflective.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, that is quite true, because all the women I know, they just do seem to be, I mean, reflections isn't quite the right word, because they are fairly autonomous women, but they're not autonomous and lucid in the same way men are.
Yeah. At the end of that point, is it?
Well, I needed to have a drink. My cousin brought back a bottle of Brazilian chilies, and they're these little things. They look like miniature cherry tomatoes, but they're quite spicy. So I've been chewing them on pizza, and that's quite good. I suppose we can do some adrenochrome news. Have you guys been reading about adrenochrome?
Oh, well, what is it? A new fragrance or something?
Yeah. Oh, wow! It's a new old fragrance.
It's a new old fragrance. Go on then, Hobbit. Hobbit. Are you with me, Hobbit? No, Hobbit's gone. Hobbit, mate, are you there? Right, Hobbit appears to have gone for a second.
Oh,
He's back.
what? Oh, right. Okay. I was almost tempted to turn it off and on again.
Yeah, you went silent, but you're back now.
Well, the thing is, I could hear everything you were saying, so maybe I just won't mention the substance that I looked into.
Maybe it's a banned substance on Discord.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where you start talking about it and then funny things happen. So I shan't mention it by name, except when I first read about it, it was one of those. It's like, for example, you have alcohol, and then I think your liver turns it into aldehyde, and it's the aldehyde which gives you a hangover. So they were saying that. Actually, I won't go into that tangent just then, but there are ways that you can consume alcohol without the aldehydelization, and then you don't get the hangover. But enough of that. That's something for another thing. Anyway,
well, we've spoke about this before, but I'm sure. But like, I can't find anything. But I haven't even looked about it, to be honest. But I read somewhere that they were talking about doing some sort of 2-part alcohol thing, where you could drink the alcohol, and there was like a second part to it where you drink that and it'd make you sober. But I assume it'd be some horrible form of like synthetic alcohol. I assume, would it?
Well, the method I know is that you avoid the hepatic portal. So the 3 methods I know of doing that is you inject it straight into the veins, so the substance gets into your blood without having to get through your foot. Because normally you drink alcohol, goes into your stomach, goes into your intestines, and when it goes into your intestines, it goes into the hepatic portal, which is effectively a third circulatory system, but that goes direct from the intestines to the liver. The liver processes it for any poisons. Alcohol's a poison, so it turns it into aldehyde. You still get alcohol in your system, so you get drunk. But it's the aldehyde which really gives you the headache, along with the dehydration, of course. So the 2 methods I've seen is you can do alcohol rectally, which I won't recommend, because if you overdo it, then you can die easily. You can inject it into your veins, which I'm not going to recommend, because only people like Chris Dangerfield inject themselves with substances.
Yeah.
And then the third method is vaporizing it, where you turn the alcohol into a vapor and you breathe it into your lungs, and that also avoids the hepatic portal. Apparently Brutus is talking about Linux, so Bayer Ray's here.
I just popped in Brutus's chat that I'm live now.
Oh, is he online? Okay, fair enough.
He decided to go up against me. Thanks, Brutus.
One of these days I'll pop on his show and I'll start talking about open source software, but now's not the time. But anyway, the point I mentioned about these metabolites of things is the substance whose name I'm not going to mention, because I don't want an AI Discord zuck, is it's one of the metabolites of adrenaline. So your body produces adrenaline, and then once the adrenaline gets processed, you get this substance whose name I'm not going to mention. And a lot of threads I've been reading saying, yeah, they get it from torturing children, and then they refine it out of the blood. And you've got these elites often on telly. They take this substance, it gives them extra longevity, but the withdrawals from this are lethal, because effectively you're replacing your own life force with that of an abused child. So yeah, nice stuff. Really,
that's wholesome.
Really nice stuff. Oh yeah, it's very, very wholesome, and this probably explains why 800,000 children a year go missing worldwide. Yeah. Have you been reading the X forum on 4chan at all?
X forum? I haven't been on 4chan for it. I went on 4chan because there was a thread about the 37 words, and then that's about it.
Yeah, someone mentioned you on that, and I just thought, oh, cool. I thought that was you, actually.
No,
I can't post replies on 4chan because they say they don't allow people with a VPN on it, and I was like, yeah, you're not having my IP address. No, thank you.
Good evening, Rock. We have our guest.
Oh, hello.
No, he's not quite ready yet.
Oh, that's all right. Well, just in the meantime, one topic which is new to me is this idea of a loosh farm, and the idea is that humans are a domesticated creature, and there's psychic vampires which feed on our suffering.
Wasn't
and,
Murph talking about this?
So
Who did we talk about this with? Was it Murph?
I don't know. I've probably
somebody we spoke about was really into it. So it's kind of how they got over here. That was their specialist conspiracy thing. I can't remember who it was though.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, I just heard this term loosh, and I thought, oh, okay, that's an interesting term. And it comes from this guy who did loads of trips into the astral plane, and just says, yeah, all that suffering and stuff you do is food for these creatures. So live, laugh, love.
Yes. Well, actually, PPP was saying the other day, weren't he, about
demons?
Mate. Did you hear that one? The one when he said what demons actually want from you is they want you to just be completely depressed and just sit there, don't they?
Hello, Rock. I can hear you, Rock, but Hemi, can you hear Rock?
I can't hear Rock for some reason.
Oh, it's not my problem, then it's yours. Oh, silly belly.
Uh-huh.
Rock.
Well, Hemi, Rock.
Hello, Rock.
No sound, eh?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Why do I not have the sound?
Yeah, I'm just not used to hearing tills going off and, clean up an aisle 5. We can hear you fine, Rock.
Oh, he says he can't hear us.
Here, guys.
That's it, can hear you now.
But he can't hear us.
Oh, is Discord being extremely helpful to Rock, is it?
Rock, can you hear us? I typed it in the chat. Let's see if he responds to that. Discord may be putting.
That's it. Can hear you, Rock. Can you hear us?
Sound to something.
Can you hear us, Rock?
Like HDMI, PS4 controller. Right. Because this has happened to me before, right? I got a PlayStation 4 controller and I plugged it into my computer, and everything worked fine.
Oh yeah, because
PS4
controllers have audio output, don't they?
Well, yeah, that's it. So everything else just understands like what my default sound provider is. But Discord went, oh, you've plugged a PS4 controller. I'm just going to output everything through that. It's like, yeah, I can't hear anything.
What? It could have been the other way. It could have been where you could hear it coming out of the control and you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Oh, it'd be nice if there was an integrated speaker into it. But,
Rock?
Somebody's just picked something up.
Rock. Can you hear us? They just love Discord when it wants to shit on you.
I know, it's great, isn't it? It's just,
so what do you think to this one then, Hobbit? Scientists have identified what is believed to be the first example of methane leaking from the sea floor.
Oh, interesting enough, I was looking into, you know those shit tier islands that the Koreans and Japanese fight over?
Yeah.
They've got something called methane ice, which is like methane with water and it's compressed and it's solid. And they're saying that actually could be a really good like source of natural gas.
So is it methane with water, or is it methane as a solid?
It's solid methane and it's crystallized with water. So I think it's just a case of you apply heat to it and methane comes out. I've literally seen people putting a lit match to it and it burns.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like such a good idea to me, putting heat to methane. Don't try this at home, kids. Global warming has obviously been blamed on greenhouse gases. Global warming is typically blamed on greenhouse gases produced by human activity.
Mate.
Can you hear us?
Hello.
Now I can.
Hey.
I don't know why it didn't work. Hang on, let me.
Did you try turning it off and on again?
No, sometimes I find with Discord that you have to change it to another setting to go back to your normal one. Rock?
I'm gonna grab one piece of audio here.
We're
not live, are we?
Yeah, we're live. Rock.
Fuck me. Alright, let's do it then.
We just decided we were going to go for it, and
don't worry.
Turned up.
Tech support is a regular part of the show, Rock. It's nothing new.
Alright, great. We're off to a fucking roaring start.
We're off to a flyer.
Alright, what did I miss out on?
We're just talking about methane under the sea. We normally just do a couple of articles from Unexplained Mysteries. So,
all right, fill me in.
So, global warming is typically blamed on greenhouse gases produced by human activity such as industrial pollution and car fumes. Bullshit! However, there are believed to be large quantities of methane locked away beneath the sea floor, the result of algae decaying beneath the sediment. The fear is that if the oceans warm up enough, this trapped methane could be released, producing a runaway warming effect that would be impossible to stop or reverse.
Yeah, it's a load of bollocks. I mean, the thing is, more likely than not, that methane eruption is because
Shall I
of
give
volcanic...
you the last line, Hobbit? The methane cycle is absolutely something we see as a society we need to be concerned about. Study leader Andrew Thurber told Andrew Thurber from Oregon State University told The Guardian. Opinion discarded.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a woman and she's writing for The Guardian, so we can promptly ignore that. But just briefly to say, most volcanoes, like 99% of them, and when we properly map the seafloor, people actually go, "Oh no, Hobbit, you're wrong. It's actually 99.9% of active volcanoes are on the seafloor." And that's where you're going to get the methane and carbon dioxide erupting from. Most methane and in fact, most hydrocarbons that we use, they're not fossil fuels, they're abiotic. It's the product of methane condensation. Why is there methane in our planet? Well, there's plenty of carbon, there's plenty of hydrogen trapped in from the formation of the Earth, and it gases out all the time.
As Byray says, we call this effect the Dutch oven. I thank you.
Yes.
Is there anything else you desperately want to talk about? Do you want to talk about this? Proteus is the world's first uncuttable material.
That's like having an unmovable object.
Yeah.
How is it uncuttable?
Do you want to read it, Hobbit?
Where am I looking?
As our science expert, I'll chuck it in general, it'll be easier.
Oh, yeah. Cheers, my dears. All right, so this is from unexplainedmysteries.com. And this substance is called Proteus, and it's the world's first uncuttable material. Woo! What if I make some scissors from Proteus, huh? Checkmate, scientists. Scientists have developed
a Proteus blade.
Yeah. Scientists have developed a lightweight material that is said to be impervious to all forms of cutting. Developed by researchers at England's Durham University and German's Fraunhofer Institute, this novel new material is only 15% the density of steel, yet is impervious to cutting tools. It is comprised of a special aluminium matrix embedded with ceramic spheres, which together serve to turn any cutter tool back against itself, done the blade or drill bit and rendering useless. Right, okay, so what they've done is they've made like a synthetic corundum. You know corundum?
Nope.
It's a mineral of aluminium oxide, and it's one of the hardest substances known to man, and they make like angle grinders and sanding blocks out of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, it says if your cutting blade penetrates the material, the resonance produced by it hitting the ceramics causes it to start bouncing, which damages and dulls the blade. Oh, okay, so that's quite clever. Even the ceramic does get cut in two. The fine dust produced fills in the gap, making the material even harder for the tool to penetrate. The force and energy of the disc or the drill is turned back in itself, and it is weakened or destroyed by its own attack. Said, and this is one of those lovely Polish names. This is why I want Poles out of this country, so I never have to pronounce their name again. Stefan Strzezinski from Durham University. Essentially cutting materials like cutting through jelly filled with nuggets. It is hoped the new material could provide invaluable in a number of fields that would be ideal for creating uncuttable locks as well as protective equipment for tool operators.
Well, it's all fun and games until you lose the keys to your padlock, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the thing is, if it's made out of aluminum, you could turn that into thermite pretty easily.
Yeah. Fortean Travels, which is, I think it's Ian, isn't it? Said, I prefer the Dirty Sanchez. I don't want to know what that is. So, Rock,
something Welsh.
Are you ready to rock?
Hang on 1 second. Just stonewall here for a minute.
My screen just went blank suddenly. That was nice.
Screen's uncuttable.
Do you want to do about the Pentagon to build the first military space station, Hobbit?
There's a military space station?
Working on plans.
I thought there was like a non. Oh wait, no. The space is now militarized because LOL. Why
Isn't
not?
there some sort of détente when it comes to space? Isn't there? That's what the dude from White Rabbit Radio says, doesn't he?
Well, there used to be a space weapons non-proliferation program. So the idea of space was not supposed to be weaponized, but I guess the Chinese ignored that.
The what Reagan called the Star Wars program. I wouldn't have been watching the news at that time, but I do know of Star Wars. It's called the SDI or the Star Wars program. Basically, what the Americans were proposing was that they'd have satellites in space that would have like countermeasures towards any nuclear weapons launch.
And the other thing they could say is like, well, instead of using nukes, we could just have like really dense rods like made of tungsten, which we then drop down on any point on the planet, and technically you're not using a nuke, but it's a kinetic projectile with the force of a nuke.
What, so they just fire that from a space station, from a satellite or something? Then?
Yeah. I mean, it's a kinetic projectile, and it's very simple.
Why can't it do pew-pew lasers? They're going to do something like that.
What?
They just hate this dystopic future we live in. I want to be killed by pew-pew lasers, God damn it.
Well, the Icarus system in GoldenEye, that would have been pretty good, because it's civilian purposes that they were talking.
Max, what's his name? Max, what's it from Goldraker, Moonraker? Max. I can't remember his name, but I want that pew-pew lasers in space, CIA versus evil bad guy.
But I mean, the thing with lasers you got to watch out for is they'll get dissipated by the atmosphere. And if there's any clouds there, I mean, forget about it. Clouds are just a great cover for them. So you're going to struggle getting a laser to penetrate that.
It was Drax something, weren't it? The bad guy from Moonraker.
Oh, he was an IQ nationalist. I mean, do you remember all the mulattoes and chinkies on the space station?
I remember Moonraker.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was not the best one.
Pew lasers with the CIA in Space Rock.
What's the giant dude called again with the
Jaws.
No. What's his actual name?
Richard Keel, is it?
Yeah, fuck, that's the one. It was in.
It was in that really great low budget Star Wars ripoff called Android. Anyone ever seen that?
Yeah, I don't think I saw that.
But anyone likes the low budget sci-fi.
Everybody needs good androids.
Which one came before Moonraker? Can't believe
By Love Me, isn't it? Or is it For Your Eyes Only? I think is a bit crap.
Was that the one which wasn't really a Bond film with Sean Connery in it?
No, that's Never Say Never Again.
Oh, yeah, that one. I've watched all of them except the last ones with Daniel Craig in it.
I haven't seen
Casino Royale was
a lot of
good.
those.
Mm.
Yeah, dude,
Oh,
I don't think I've ever seen a single one with Daniel Craig. Maybe the first one. I'm not sure, man.
What lucky then?
well, I mean, Casino Royale's pretty good, but the rest of them are really fucking depressing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like James Bond. I mean, it kind of feels like.
Oh, sorry, it's not Android. It's called the Humanoid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's one of those things. It's just yeah.
Hoping to overthrow his brother as ruler of the planet Metropolis, the evil Graal enlists the help of insane Dr. Kraspin, who has invented a chemical capable of turning an ordinary person into a perfect soldier. They test this chemical on the pilot Golob, turning the unsuspecting victim into a mindless but indestructible automaton possessing superhuman strength. The people of Metropolis must somehow outwit Graal before he can create an army of these soldiers, or their planet
why is it always called Metropolis?
I mean, they were really going all out with these names, Golob and Kraspin. Well,
Didn't he die from like gigantism or some shit like that?
he was a big lad, weren't he?
Probably.
Yeah, he's big guy for you.
Big guy for you.
Like Andre the Giant. I need to watch The Princess Bride sometime.
Richard Dawson Keel.
Dude, I don't think I've ever seen the entirety.
What? You haven't seen what?
I always mention it, but.
Oh, he's 75. He had a heart attack.
Well, that's not too bad.
Good innings.
Yeah, he had a good innings, didn't he?
Hmm.
He broke his leg the week before he died.
Well, as you do, you know.
Got to be shit, innit? Breaking your leg and not living to see it healed. His first role is 1960 in a film called The D.I. as Ugly Marine.
Oh, I found the chat. We have a chat. We have 10 people watching.
Yeah. Well, we've got 49 playbacks, which means more people than that.
All right, okay. Let's
Hate Speech wants Sargon to be the new Bond.
God.
Bond, Cuck Bond.
Yeah, dude, like Milo can be M.
No, Milo would be what's his name? Who's
the
dude who has his face all melted?
Sargon being Bond, like he would probably be like a Bond girl, I guess.
If Sargon's Bond, would Ethan Ralph be what's that film? Is it not Spectre? The one before Spectre. The one with that queer bloke. And it was kind of queer, and it looked more like he fancied Bond than he wanted to kill him.
Scaramanga.
Name son. Son.
He was in No Country for Old Men. He was in one of the.
Tommy Lee Jones.
No, I don't think he's queer.
The hitman from it. What's his name?
Oh, fuck. I know this, but I'm blanking.
Well, he was in that Bond film. He could play him because it just went a little bit weird. Or would you have Ethan Ralph in as Blofeld stroking his pussy?
Yes, definitely. Ethan Ralph is a Blofeld type character.
Right, so are we going to get on some hyper serious content then, Rock?
We can do that bit. Do you want to intro the topic here, or?
Where do you want to start? Where are we starting with this?
Go right in the middle, then do the introduction towards the end.
Yes.
We'll start with Timothy McVeigh outside the Oklahoma thing. You're probably wondering how I got here.
Cue music.
Record
Yeah.
scratch.
We'll tell it through like a series of flashbacks that don't actually make sense until the end of the story.
I like
All
those
right,
films.
so the totally okay city incident, I guess, like that's what we're calling
Yeah, I've
it.
called it the OK because apparently if you put the Oklahoma City bombing in this, you're very likely to get just struck.
All right, okay, we can do that. So I think it's important that we frame this as part of like the larger uh, militia movement type thing that was going on in the 90s. And I think honestly the story starts at Ruby Ridge. Those of you in Operation Lily Reinhardt, the Ruby Ridge incident is I believe an 11-day siege that took place in Ruby Ridge, obviously. I think it's like Idaho, like close to Boundary or something. And this was in 1992. So as part of like a larger operation called PATCON, ATF agents or possibly FBI agents.
Is PATCON short for something, or is it just PATCON?
Yes, Patriot Conspiracy. So like the whole notion of like gay opping, that's been around for a while. They've done it to like the black nationalist movements. They've done it to the WN 1.0s, et cetera. Like this has been around for a long time. Yeah. That's just how they do, right? Simple as, right? But so we have a bloke's bloke, Randy Weaver, just likes to hang out in the woods, shoot guns, read about philosophy.
Real bloke's bloke.
Yes, absolutely, real bloke's bloke, and he is enticed to, I believe, shorten to shotguns below the legal length for like, I don't know, maybe like a couple $100 or something like that.
Yeah, because didn't this consist of do the bit, no, do the bit, no, do the bit, no, do the bit, no, was pretty much how it went, weren't it?
Was it like Mrs. Doyle working for the glow in the darks?
Yeah.
God damn! I really want to say what the rest of Terry Crews is. Why can't YouTube just let me talk like a normal human being?
Yeah,
it's kind of like the the nagging your girlfriend for sex, essentially. Like finally, just like okay. We'll do that.
Do you know who Mrs. Doyle is?
And he's like, yeah, I'll fucking shorten these shotguns. Give me the money. They'll just fucking. I don't understand why you can't shorten your own fucking shotguns, but hey, I'm kind of like a hands-on type of guy. So
I'll lend you a saw. Why don't you go and do it? No, do the bit. That's basically what they did to him, weren't it? They just went on at him, didn't they?
Yeah, they literally just nagged him into like shortening to sawing off the shotgun. So he obviously, they pick him up on this. He then they try to flip him, to become an informant, because like the target that they're after is Elohim City, which is a nearby white supremacist compound. Apparently, it's informal TWP style, trailer park, essentially consisting of mobile homes.
Okay, thanks.
Apparently, their Christian identity just like kind of essentially just means that you think that America is Israel and you're the new Jews or something like that. And apparently they're racist. So, which is as you do. So I think they were like largely connected to something called the Order, which is again just a little bit racist. Happens sometimes. Let me
14
see.
in chat, boys.
The Order, also known as the Bruder Schweigen, German for Brothers Keep Silent. Silent Brotherhood, or less commonly as the Aryan Resistance Movement, was a white supremacist terrorist organization active in the United States between September 1983 and December 1984.
They don't sound like fed honeypots at all, do they?
I mean, they had a real fucking run there. But so you have Robert J. Matthews, also connected to Sons of Liberty. This is like one of the original siege posters. And then David Lane, known for like the Fortean and the 88. I think he did like a 200-year prisons, multiple 200-year prison terms or something like that. Pretty sure he died in there as well, but
Totally
they
proportional.
Yeah, let me see. David Eden Lane, yeah, died in 2007. American white separatist and convicted felon, member of domestic terror group The Order, convicted and sentenced to 190 years in prison for racketeering, conspiracy, and being an accomplice. I think he killed like a
He
journalist.
shot. Accomplice to murder of Alan Berg, a Jewish radio talk show host.
Radio talk shows. That's the one. So that's who they were kind of going after. But Buddy doesn't flip. So and then he's still out there, being a bloke, living in the woods.
Any normal person would go, no, fuck off. That was entrapment. You kept asking me to do it. I kept telling you no.
Yeah. So he then comes up with the brilliant idea to not show up to his court appearance because there's a bench warrant out for him or whatever. So they the ATF then essentially like descends upon Ruby Ridge. They start an 11-day siege. I think he like shoots back and manages to like either wound or kill one of the ATF agents. They respond, or actually they start
the ATF whose motto is gently, gently.
Well, they actually start the shit off by like killing his dog, I think. So he
What about the daughter?
Brigades up. Like,
is he the one that killed his pregnant wife and child? Didn't
they killed the wife and they kill his 14-year-old son. So like they're stuck in this like cabin in the woods essentially, like with the corpse of his dead wife for like I don't know how many days. Like I'm not an expert on the timeline of like the exact Ruby Ridge thing, but yeah, no, they start by killing the dog and then like they take out his wife and son as well. Eventually, things come to a head and they manage to not kill the entire fucking family, but that's kind of like where this thing begins in the mind of like a lot of your patriot tards, if you will, right? Are we clear on this? Are we good?
Yep.
I'm being quiet.
Right. That's fine. You can be quiet. All right. So then what we have is the Waco incident, of course, which is supposed to be like Timothy McVeigh's entire like raison d'être for
Yeah, and the ATF's finest hour.
Yeah, a little background. Waco, Texas, the Branch Davidians, some weirdo cult of race mixers who apparently like think David Koresh is like the new coming of Christ. As you do, like he takes ample advantage of that. Like I think he like had like 6 wives or something like that. He was like basically like banging everybody there. I mean, it's good action if you can get it. I think it was
a proper cult, but literally, because what were they doing? They were selling. As far as I remember, that they were selling guns perfectly legally, weren't they?
If I recall correctly, they wanted to essentially search the premises because they would again like they don't like you have to place that into the proper time frame as well, where they were like really concerned with like anti-government organizations and stuff like that. So like if you're building like a compound and you're kind of like this collecting guns as you do and cutting yourself off from the rest of the world, it's not going to go over that well with your FBI and ATF types, right? So fuck, if I got this correct, I think it's like a 51-day siege in total, which ends with like them essentially like burning down the fucking compound. So that was like a huge wake up call for like a lot of these like militia types that the government's gonna come for you. They're gonna come for your guns and like burn you alive. And I think they killed like 25 kids or something like that. total death toll, at least among the Branch Davidians, like 75 or some shit like that. So,
Nancy Pelosi seems to be very proud of this. She was responsible. She signed the death warrants for those children.
Okay.
Also, chat
I think
saying
it's Nancy Pelosi.
clear things up. Dog sense they were there. ATF shot the dog. Randy's son returned fire into the woods. The ATF shot the kid's arm off with automatic fire. Randy's wife was stood in the house holding their baby daughter, and an ATF sniper shot her in the head. The only people that stood up for the Weaver family was the Aryan Brotherhood, apparently. Clear up on Ruby Ridge.
Then again,
Ruby Ridge
Waco
is a whole thing on
also
it. It's almost like a whole episode on its own, isn't it, to do it and give it justice?
I don't know. I think the death toll is a little low. I think you could do like an entire episode on Waco, definitely, but like it's more to like kind of like sketch the background of like what we're gonna go into here, because like that was like the whole that was like really like the beginning of like this whole like conspiracy culture, right? So you had like people like Milton William Cooper and like Alex Jones coming up as well, and this was like they had this whole this was like the heyday of NWO, essentially New World Order, that type of stuff. A term popularized by George the Elder. Obviously, like this all takes place during like the Clinton presidency. Janet Reno is your top dog as well.
I may be getting Nancy Pelosi and Janet Reno mixed up.
I think you may have. Yeah. Yeah, so she's like in the driver's seat for like Ruby Ridge, Waco, and Oklahoma City. Okie City. So yeah, like the ATF basically could have like arrested David Koresh. Apparently, like he went into town to like buy dumb shit constantly, so they could have easily like picked him up somewhere. But no, they decided to show up with like armored vehicles and fucking burn the place to the ground. So that's
nice,
kind of like
reasonable response.
Well, I mean, as you do, right? As you do.
Filling a church full of CS gas where children and women are suffering, and then setting it on fire so that all the gas burned and then the children burned alive.
It's bit of an oopsie. Some say they did it on purpose. I don't know. Wasn't there. Can't speak for that part, but. Interesting fact, actually. Timothy McVeigh tried to visit the compound while the siege was in process, and does as as is expected. The TV interviews, like it's like the fact that he was there. Like I think he was selling like the car stickers or something like that to pay for his trip or some shit like that. Like he's very like. It's very obvious that he was there and was there in support. Like this is after like he leaves the military, by the way. Do we want to go into like Timothy McVeigh here for a bit?
We can do it. Well, he's pretty important to the story, isn't he? So
yeah, he's a bit of a player in this particular tale. So Timothy McVeigh, also known as John Doe 1, also Irish. Problematic, of course. He's a fucking Mick.
Those Micks always blowing up at the slightest provocation.
There needs to be a final solution to this particular issue, but we can broach that in a different episode. The Irish episode.
Oh, definitely. Love E&A for that one.
So Army veteran, did a tour of duty during the Gulf War. then gets reassigned to the security detail for General Schwarzkopf, who is leading that particular operation.
Norman.
Yep. So he then gets called back to try out for the Green Beret Special Forces, which was apparently like his big thing. Seemingly does not go through with the physical due to some essentially being worn out from the being in the desert for so long. So allegedly quits the military in 1991. This is where things get interesting. So apparently, and the New York Times reported on this. Apparently, he sends a letter to his sister, essentially stating that he's getting selected for some special duties. So, are you familiar with the concept of sheep dipping?
Oh, I've heard of that. Isn't it chemical warfare testing on soldiers?
No, it's. Do you remember the movie the Padded?
Yeah.
No.
All right. So in it, the character of what the fuck's his that prick from Titanic? What's his name again?
Leonardo
DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes. So he essentially gets taken out of the the cadet pool, and they essentially get him on. He's sent to prison for a little bit in order to build up his bona fides. But he is essentially still with the police. It's kind of like that same process where they take military personnel, wash them out of the service, but they're still active, incognito, if you will. So one instance that comes to mind is Operation Heavy Green, where they essentially discharged a bunch of military personnel and just reassigned them to Lockheed. So they would just they're technically still doing everything they should for the service, but they're not official members of the military anymore. So what's likely happening here is that he is either working for the CIA or just like black ops in the military. It's he's, but by all accounts, he had a Bronze Star. Went from like private to sergeant in less than 2 years. There's not really any reason why he would wash out like that.
So basically, on the track to being an officer, and then all of a sudden, bang, washes out.
Yeah, and then he starts saying all these racist things, leaving copies of the Turner Diaries everywhere. It's kind of like the Muslims on 9/11. They're just here's the Quran, there's a Quran.
And the diaries fluttered, and the copy of the Turner Diaries fluttered down.
Yeah.
If ever I need to make a bulletproof vest, I'm making it off Saudi passports. They're indestructible.
Yep. So he then.
Oh, hold on. You're gonna have to say that bit again, Rock. Rock, where did you go, Rock? Oh, text Hobbit, can you hear me? Is it me that can't hear you, or the other way around? Hobbit, are you there? Oh, you're gonna have to say about the last 20 seconds again, Rock, because
is it?
My Discord just shit the bed and I couldn't hear a word you were saying.
All right. Like I said, it's very similar to what happened with Lee Harvey Oswald, because he shows up at all these places and starts handing out flyers, and it's kind of just to create the storyline for himself. I think there's a lot of comparisons one can make between Timothy McVeigh and Lee Harvey Oswald. Yeah, I think it's a very similar situation. But so let's see.
He's not a proper assassin though. He hasn't got a 3-part name, has he? He hasn't got a hyphenated surname. I think that's how you can tell someone's a proper killer, doesn't it?
No, I think he only has 2.
Yeah, Timothy McVeigh. Only the one name. It's the hyphenated. Maybe he was a patsy.
I think his middle name's like James or something like that.
Oh, really? Anyway, carry on. Sorry, mate. I'll just derail you.
No. Don't worry about it. All right. So, fast forward to the morning of April 19, 1995. A Ryder truck filled with diesel and essentially cow shit blows up outside of the Alfred P. Murrow Federal Building, killing, according to some people, 169. Others say 168.
Maybe they found 2 bits and they thought it was 2.
Listen, I just read what I wrote on the piece of paper. Okay. So, yeah, according to the official narrative, like a Ryder rental truck and takes out essentially like half the fucking building. Word goes out pretty quickly. I don't know how they do it, but they apparently have like a sketch of 2 individuals, John Doe number 1, John Doe number 2. Timothy McVeigh gets picked up in a routine traffic stop because he is driving a car without a license plate.
That seems a bit silly.
That's a rookie mistake, isn't it? Rock, are you talking? Oh, Rob, fucking hell. What the hell is the matter with this thing tonight?
There we go.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, good.
So
he gets picked up.
Yeah.
Apparently gets recognized immediately. Like he's like driving around in a car with no license plate, just like looking for to essentially get picked up. They then arrest his former platoon mate, Terry Nichols, and I think it's like a week or 2 go by, and then they just essentially stop looking for John Doe number 2. Like that disappears completely off the radar. We also have like multiple accounts of people reporting that like the ATF wasn't at the Morrow building that day. That they were essentially like they got like messages on their pagers telling them not to come in on that day. Do we want to play that audio that I put in Oklahoma?
Which one do you want to play?
ATF fuckery.
Right, so ATF fuckery, so I'll play.
Authorities now claim in federal investigative reports that the huge, ominous truck with its trailer was being used by a deputy to run routine errands. Other documents obtained by 2020 show that someone called the Executive Secretariat's office at the Justice Department in Washington and said the Morrow building had been bombed. But this was 24 minutes before the blast. No action was apparently taken.
Yet another witness, a rescue worker, says after she talked with an agent at the bombing scene, she also suspected the ATF was warned and agents stayed away from their office that morning.
I asked him if his office was in the building, and he said yes. And I asked if there were any ATF agents that were still in the building, and he said no, we weren't here.
Witness number 1 approached an ATF agent nearby. He claims he asked the agent what had happened, and witness number 1 says this is what the agent told him.
He started getting a little bit nervous. He tried reaching somebody on a two-way radio. Couldn't get anybody, and I told him I wanted an answer right then. He said they were in debriefing. None of the agents had been in there. They had been tipped by their pagers not to come into work that day. Plain as day out of his mouth. They were tipped. Why wasn't anybody else?
Ooh, that's yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's audio from what is essentially like the seminal documentary on the topic, A Noble Lie, Oklahoma City. It's about like an hour and a half, 2 hours or something like that. So they finished that one up in like the early aughts or stuff, but it's been around for a while. Has all your hits, all your favorites. Plenty of Alex Jones in there as well. It's back when he was like not doing MAGA shit, still allowed on the internet. But all right, so we also have on that day a lot of, and again, you'll have like the similar things happening on like, let's say 9/11 or so, and stuff like that. Where you, in the early hours of the happening, like there's a lot of like the fix isn't in yet. Like you have a lot of like information coming out, like the reporting is still like kind of like this like minute to minute. So like the you know, the machine hasn't like sprung into action yet, and because obviously like these types of reports get cleaned up over time, right? So like in the early hours of 9/11, like it was just like steady stream of information, like the you know, you have like stuff being inserted, obviously, but like the control and like the management.
A bit like Princess Diana. I know people that were up in the early hours of the morning, and then their initial report was that she was up and she was fine, and she just injured her thigh. I know someone that actually heard that as a news report when Princess Diana had her accident.
I do remember that there were like reports of like more cars than they initially or started claiming and stuff like that. I don't know. I just didn't really fucking pay attention to the Princess Di thing at all. I also fucking hated that song.
Well, it's the same as the demonetized incident, isn't it? Newtown. There was reports of 2 shooters at the start of that, wasn't there?
Oh, what the violent homosexual cashing in on the death of a beloved public figure. I heard that was a lot of mopeds chasing after her, and that the driver was hopped up on amphetamines.
It's the Uno, isn't it? It's the Uno in the tunnel. It did a bit. But
yeah,
anyway,
what the fuck's his name again? Like Al Fayed or something like that. He was like convinced that like that they did his boy dirty.
Yeah, because they reckon she had a bun in the oven, a Muslim bun in the oven.
Yeah.
Considering what this country's like now, I doubt that's the reason. I think it was more a case of just like no. If I was in the UK, I couldn't say this, but as I'm not in the UK, Prince Charles wrote, "Yeah, it'd be a shame if your brake lines to be cut whilst you're travelling through Paris with that boyfriend of yours."
Damn.
I thought Prince Philip put his driving gloves on. I thought that's what happened. I would actually forgive Prince Philip for that, because he's my absolute favourite royal.
I mean, how can he not be? Like, I hear he's pretty based.
This looks like he was installed by an Indian. That is one of my favourites.
I tell you what, right now, I mean, we were talking about somebody who wouldn't go to Spoons. I could imagine Prince Philip going to Spoons with her.
Oh, I'd fucking love it, wouldn't he?
What's Spoons? I don't know about this.
Wetherspoons. It's a pub chain. It's for the budget range of going to the pub.
Budget pub, eh?
Yeah.
Going
I went to the pub the other night. My bartender called me a what was it again? Argumentative asshole. And this man works for tips, so I don't know what I did.
Did he get any?
But not that much.
Not as much as he would have got.
So
we
got what was left.
Are we going to get back then? Are we to?
Yeah. Let's see here. All right, so let's do fake and gay.mp3. Let's play that one. Oh, and let me lead into this because what you also have like in these early hours of reporting, reports of multiple bombs, and this is going to be important for like the bit we're going to do next here. But like, play the bit, do the bit.
It's the year 2019, the future,
That's
multiculturalism and diversity.
What?
Whoa, alright, that's not it.
I think you give me the wrong MP3 then.
Multiple bombs.
I think let's try that one.
The first bomb that was in the federal building did go off. It did the damage that you see right there. The second explosive was found and diffused. The third explosive that was found, and they are working on right now as we speak, I understand, both the second and third explosives, if you can imagine this, were larger than the first.
That they have found a second explosive device of some kind inside this building.
Justice Department is reporting that a second explosive device has been found.
One device was deactivated. Apparently there's another device.
That in fact 2 different explosive devices were found in addition to the one that went off.
A second bomb was found on the east side of that building. A bomb squad is on the scene.
The medical teams downtown are unable to get into the wreckage to retrieve more of the injured because of the presence of other bombs in the area.
I just took a look down the street at the Morrow building again. I see another bomb truck going, so apparently they're going to try to get out that third bomb that's been talked about.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of the stuff that was coming out in like the early hours.
But do you think that was to cause maximum casualties then, Rock? So anybody that was injured was stuck inside, so they'd die?
Hard to say. Again, it's hard to say what type of explosives they were. My contention is that there were probably like the C4 charges inside the building placed on key columns. So if you have basically like a top-down view of the Alfred P. Murrow building, they're essentially like 3 rows of columns. So you have the A row, B row, and C row. The A row being closest to the Ryder truck bomb that goes off. So what we have is like an asymmetrical damage pattern, and one of the big ticket items in any type of like Oklahoma denialism, if you will. One of the big talking points is like column B3. You might be able to pull up a picture of it or something like that. Column B3 is completely taken out. It's further away from the car bomb than column B4, which essentially remains untouched. So like you have like an unrealistic damage pattern in that sense. The type of explosive is also not like very conducive to doing like that type of damage, because there's something when it comes to like explosives. The type of explosive you use is usually tailored for what you're trying to do with it.
There's high explosives and then there's low explosives, and the fertilizer bomb which he made is a low explosive. I forget the exact definition, but suffice to say the high explosives, they have a really fast shockwave and low ones don't. And the amount of damage caused to that building, some people, when they looked at it, says, yeah, that's not fertilizer. That would have been some military explosives like C4.
Exactly, and like the most logical conclusion one comes to is that they were already present in the building, and that they essentially just set off the bombs at the same time, right? Because like depending on what type of explosive you use, like there's only like so much pressure you're gonna build up, and like you can predict essentially like how much pressure you're going to get in what distance. Like, it's essentially like you can look at like a blast radius as like a dartboard essentially, and like within like your closest circle, you're going to have like X amount of pressure. Like the other concentric overlapping circle, you're going to have like less pressure, obviously. So like, while it's perfectly possible to like blow out every single window in the building, you're not going to like just maul concrete, steel reinforced concrete, like rebar reinforced concrete like that with like a fertilizer bomb. It's just not going to happen.
I mean,
so,
correct me if I'm wrong, but like when was there any crater underneath the van? I don't think there was there?
Barely. Again, like the crater under the van doesn't match like the type of like damage you see to the building.
I'm no explosives expert, so don't think I am, but I'm just thinking to myself, if the bomb was that powerful that it could do all that damage to the building, surely the epicenter of the blast there'd be a big crater.
Yeah, I've got an image up, but I don't know how. It's not the greatest image. It's not the biggest image. I'll stick it in Discord if you want to see it, Hobbit.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's basically it. So like the column B3 is like one of your big ticket items, and like the lines there essentially like represent the part of the building that collapsed.
Because
so
because 4 and 5 should have gone as well, shouldn't they? If that was given the center of the truck bomb radius.
Well, again, like the notion that like a fertilizer bomb can do that type of damage is it's not accurate. Like it doesn't happen. General Benton Kirkpardon, who was worked on missile systems and shit like that, like an explosive expert, retired general brigadier from the U.S. Air Force. He did he's like the guy who did like the expose and he did the work on how the truck bomb theory doesn't hold up to scrutiny. He also lobbied, I believe, personally, delivered a letter to 23 senators or something like that, asking them to not, demolish the building because it was essentially a crime scene and the evidence had to be preserved, but they took it down anyways.
I mean, forgive me if I'm jumping ahead, but I'm almost becoming the tourist for it in this thing. This almost sounds like a trial run for what happened later in September 2001.
It's not unrelated.
I mean, the idea of this van doing this explosion was like a distraction from the main event, because if the building just suddenly exploded, people will go, all right, who was working here before planting bombs in the building?
We have a candidate for that. Let me see. Andreas Strassmeyer, connected to Elohim City, former German military, and son of Helmut Kohl's chief of staff. Apparently winds up in Elohim City, doing white nationalist stuff. Is placed at the scene by witness Jane Graham, who saw him at the states that she saw him at the Alfred P. Murrow building, inside the building working. I'm gonna say 2 or 3 days prior to the bombing. So there's a lot of infiltration that goes on there. I believe Carol Howe basically turned in supposed to be an informant. Kind of doesn't mince any words when it comes to the type of activities that they were trying to again they're trying to get these militia types and white nationalists to fly off the handle, essentially. It's kind of like the same thing that they did with, like, they started doing it to, like, the Muzzies as well, like, in the, the early aughts and, like, post 9/11 and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, here, like, you retarded, like, would you like a bomb, like, that type of stuff, like, essentially just, like, literally setting these people up, like, giving them the explosives and everything. Like, they should try to do it with, like, a bunch of kids as well, not too long ago, where it's like some retarded kid, like, the parents literally had to, like, tell the FBI to stop visiting their house or something like that. It's like they were really pushing hard to get, like, the militia movement to start doing some moose shit. Because again, like, you have to place it all in the time period where this was happening. Like, the militia movement was growing. Like, there was a lot of, like, anti-government sentiment and stuff like that. And yeah, you also have, like, them coming off of Ruby Ridge, Waco. Their image is terrible at that time. So, like, having, like, the ATF be one of the main targets of this attack kind of like rehabilitates their image as well. And part of the play was also to get, like, some quote unquote counterterrorism legislation passed. I believe the original one they proposed was the Omnibus Counterterrorism Act of 1995, proposed by now presidential candidate Mr. Joe Biden, and was essentially rebranded into the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act of 1996 and signed into law by none other than Mr. Bill Clinton.
Nice.
So it's essentially like your forerunner for, like, the Patriot Act, essentially. Sweeping changes to, your civil liberties and whatnot.
So, in other words, if you want to be a scumbag criminal, work for the feds. But I didn't say that, of course.
Do what you gotta do. Yeah. So in the days following the bombing, Mr. McVeigh gets picked up, obviously. John Doe number 2. There's tons of reports about it. Again, early days. Like there's a sketch. There's also some reports of like certain Middle Eastern looking men being reported near the truck, supposedly talking to Mr. McVeigh. That all stops as well. And the feds swoop in and essentially like confiscate, like, I'm gonna say the footage for 4 different cameras, which would have had like the Ryder truck in their view. We can play. Let's see here. 2 cameras. Let's do that.
Cameras.
This is all like local TV, like early days type stuff.
Report. Our new information comes directly from a source that has seen parts of those surveillance tapes. It also comes from reports now in the Los Angeles Times. But perhaps the biggest surprise is contained in the news channel's own information. Timothy McVeigh was not the last person to leave the Ryder truck. In fact, another man sat inside the cab of the truck after McVeigh got out. We believe that man is John Doe number 2, a man who, for all we know, is still on the loose, leaving open a vital question. Was it John Doe number 2 who actually set off the bomb, not Timothy McVeigh, as we've all been led to believe? News Channel 4 has for weeks been demanding copies of the surveillance tapes from the FBI. The federal government so far is dragging its feet. But many people in the investigation have seen the tapes, and now so has a source willing to describe to the news channel what the tapes show. The LA Times report shows there was a surveillance camera near the corner of 5th and Harvey and another near the corner of 5th and Robinson. Federal investigators recreated the time sequence leading up to the bombing by matching the video and still photos from the surveillance cameras. Since we can't show you the tape ourselves, we're reenacting what our source says he saw on those tapes. As witnesses told the news channel before, the tape showed the Ryder truck parked in front of the Murrah building where we now know the blast went off. As witnesses also told us, the tape showed two men sitting inside the Ryder truck. A man strongly resembling Timothy McVeigh gets out of the driver's side, steps down. He then appears to have dropped something on the step up into the truck. He bends down and appears to pick something up off the step. Then he turns and walks directly across 5th Street toward the Journal Record building. All this time, John Doe number 2 is still inside the Ryder truck's cab, sitting on the passenger side. Time passes. The surveillance tape is time-lapse photography. Without knowing exactly the time interval between shots, our source can't be sure how long John Doe number 2 sat in that cab. What was he doing all that time? Then the tape shows John Doe number 2 getting out of the passenger side of the Ryder truck. Again, the tape shows that a bombing witness accurately described what happened next to News Channel 4.
I was standing in the building, and I looked out the window, and I seen the Ryder's truck, and I seen a man get out of the Ryder's truck.
The tape shows John Doe number 2 getting out, shutting the passenger side door. He steps toward the front of the truck and is momentarily out of the frame of the surveillance camera. But shortly, he appears back in frame, walking toward the rear of the truck, still on the sidewalk in front of the Murrah building. Again, he turns east toward the front of the truck, looking toward the street. John Doe number 2 then walks diagonally across 5th Street toward the east, as if heading toward the YMCA or the intersection of 5th and Robinson. He again leaves the frame of the camera. Another camera shooting from another angle clearly shows the actual explosion that destroyed the federal building and killed 169 people.
There you have it. So we have
I don't think you get a news report like that today. I mean, the idea that they'd be sort of badgering the government for footage, they just don't do that now.
Well, I mean, we have little documentation of like military and CIA operations, literally inserting information into news broadcasts.
Oh yeah, I mean, if they're happy
placing
giving
little agents like within news organizations, they probably haven't gotten like worse at it over time. There's an added wrinkle. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. I keep thinking that program 24, all of that was just like written and directed on behalf of the CIA.
Yeah, so we have some added wrinkles here as well as to why the Alfred P. Murrah building was targeted. So, is anybody familiar with Mena, Arkansas?
Oh, isn't that where a lot of people ended up suicided, and in no way, shape, or form has they got anything to do with the Clintons at all?
You're not far off here. So, Mena in Arkansas is essentially like a tiny little airstrip where Barry Seal, essentially was importing like insane amounts of drugs for the CIA, and this is part of the wider Iran-Contra thing, right? So the all the papers that had to do with that, because like at the time when this was going on, Bill Clinton was the running Arkansas and laying pipe everywhere. Dude was not exactly like subtle about it either. He would literally have like the state troopers like go and like collect women for him so he could like bang them. Dude was dude was a busy bee. But all the paperwork related to that was moved to the Alfred P. Murrah building. I believe the stuff relating to Whitewater as well, which was fucking like real estate scam that the Clintons were in on. So yeah, that's again like a little foreshadowing for 9/11 as well, where like you have like the plane hitting like the exact portion of the Pentagon where they're doing like the forensic accounting for like the missing trillions essentially.
Oh, I heard there's something like that with Building 7 had a lot of evidence collected about the Enron scandal.
That's also where they kept like a lot of the stuff on insider trading and stuff like that. So like a lot of evidence for like a bunch of financial crime was completely erased as well.
What an unfortunate coincidence.
Yeah, it's strange how that happens.
Terrible, isn't it?
Yeah,
Absolute wounder, absolute wounder.
Just part and parcel of a modern city, isn't it?
Well, actually, what's the building that fell down and the BBC reported it 20 minutes before it did in 9/11?
That was
Building 7.
7, yeah. It's very similar, isn't it, to what you said earlier, Rock?
Well, again, like there's so many like things in common with 9/11. It's just like this is a smaller scale, and like they weren't as good at it yet. We'll do 9/11 one of these days, but like
Jesus, that'll have to be an all-star cast because everyone and their dog's got an opinion on 9/11, haven't they?
I love that certain individuals within the broader thing just didn't have an opinion on it until somebody blamed the people with tiny hats, and they were like, "Yes, of course."
Until Ryan Dawson had his theory. Is that what you mean?
I mean, like he's pretty good on the topic, but like I mean, there's a reason he's not allowed on anything.
Yeah, because he gets things wrong all the time. No, it's not.
Hang on, Stonewall for a second.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, the Oklahoma City bombing's one of those things I don't know much about, except I have heard people say that once they did that, the Fed started to calm down and they didn't start murdering people in their militia compounds after that. I imagine what are called militia compounds are just what we might call preppers these days. They're just people who've got like some acreage. They have their own farm, and they just happen to have a collection of guns and ammo.
Well, it was more like an organized thing that you would have like your local militia, your state militia, that type of stuff. It was like, and this was like very much during the whole birth of like the conspiracy theory type stuff, right? Like so, like everyone was really concerned with the NWO and like the Illuminati, and like this was before the days of like
it's the 4B2s.
It's the Chinese.
Yeah.
These globalists.
It's the Chi-Coms.
But yeah, no. I mean, they've not exactly been proven wrong, really, but like, yeah, no, it was heavily steeped in like this NWO symbolism. Like everyone was like running scared of like the United Nations essentially, because that was going to be like the framework for like the new world government. They were literally like predicting that like blue helmets would like roam the countryside and just like take your guns away.
Well, the 1990s is when we saw the erection of the Georgia Guidestones, and which is a bit of a threat. Saying keep the population under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
Yeah.
What did they mean by this?
Maybe there's going to be a global pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, the demonetized virus could be a practice run, so they know where our weaknesses are.
That's what I think it
June
is.
1979, a man using the pseudonym Robert C. Christian approached the Elberton Granite Finishing Company on behalf of a small group of loyal Americans, commissioned the structure. Christian explained the stones would function as a compass, calendar, and clock. It should be capable of withstanding catastrophic events. Joey Fenley of Elberton Granite assumed Christian was a nut and attempted to discourage him by giving him a quote several higher than any project the company had taken, explaining that the guidestone would require additional tools and consultants. Christian accepted the quote. When arranging payment, Christian explained that he represented a group which had been planning the guidestones for 20 years and which intended to remain anonymous. Apparently defaced.
Oh yeah, they got defaced. Was it last year?
Jesus will beat you, Satanists. Death to the New World Order. Fucking. Alex Jones tier stuff here. Kind of reminds me of like that whole Agenda 21 thing that they had going on for a while too.
I do think the demonetized virus, I think that is part of this Agenda 2030 as they've rebranded it. Because there's all these things like, if you want to be pessimistic about it, like I think in the years to come, travel's going to be very hard to do. It's like only the rich will be able to travel.
All right, so the languages on the Georgia Guidestones: English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, traditional Chinese, and Russian. 10 points. Maintain humanity under 500 million, and perpetual balance of nature. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. I mean, we could do one of those things. Unite humanity with a living new language. Rule, passion, faith.
I think they tried Esperanto and it failed quite comprehensively, didn't it?
Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Balance personal rights with social duties.
I think what you should do instead of going to war is like your prime minister has to fight their prime minister.
Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. This is starting to sound like WLP. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Alright. Build on.
WLP, what's that, Rock?
Oh, Willie Luther.
Ah, yeah.
Pretty base.
So where were we with regards the Oklahoma City incident then?
I think we've basically, done a fairly decent job of like pointing out how it's fake and gay.
Yeah.
But the plot, there's more evidence to suggest that Mr. Mick McVeigh was still involved with the military. There's an incident in, I believe, 1993, where he's caught on camera by a guy who's essentially this like doing some interviews and scouting locations for like a film project, and this is supposedly like a year and a half after he's left the military, give or take, maybe 2 years, and he's caught on video while just like hanging out in like some type of armored vehicle. And he essentially plays himself off as just like a parts clerk. But this guy, I think this was Bill Beam or something like that, so took it to like a professor of linguistics, Professor Blumgren, and he apparently did a voice analysis, compared it to like Timothy McVeigh's like interview he did on 60 Minutes. And essentially came up with the figure of like an 86% match for like the voice recognition, and he was willing to state as such that he believed there was a match in court. Obviously, never happened.
So what significance of that is that he saw him there then?
Well, that means that he's still like hanging around on military bases, even though he's not in the military anymore.
Ah, right. Okay, cool. Yeah. Just thought I'd clear that up for anybody
So, I think Nichols gets 161 concurrent life sentences or something like that. No possibility of parole. He's still in there. And then we have Mr. McVeigh gets the death penalty. But here's where it gets tricky. There's a very real possibility that like he was actually never executed, because he spent a lot of his time on death row, requesting something fairly particular. That's not common with federal death penalties. You can request it in certain states, I believe, but he specifically asked for there to be no autopsy on him. So he's essentially whisked away following like this supposed execution via lethal injection. You have like witnesses at the scene who are like they'll let like family members of like people who let's say you murdered someone, like family members can request to be present at the execution, right? Reporters, that type of stuff as well. So you have one of the reporters stating that like he never closed his eyes, and said some other stuff. He appeared to be breathing. And
are these people who'd been to executions before? Just to clarify that one. I mean, because I like none of us know what really happens during a. Do people necessarily close their eyes?
Again, I'm just repeating what was said.
Yeah,
I've seen people die before. The only one I've ever looked into the eyes whilst they were dying was my great grandmother. Her eyes didn't close, but I could see that she was. I could see the life leaving her.
Yeah, I've seen that when I've had dogs put down. You see the light leaves the eyes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Following his execution, apparently they had several decoy hearses, to throw like reporters off the trail. This is they've admitted to this, and he is immediately taken for a supposed cremation, and the ashes get handed over to his lawyers. Terry Nichols is going to die in prison, obviously, but like there's a really real possibility that like they just extracted him. Like, job well done and good to go. He is I think it's Terry Nichols who stated that like he once, kind of like as a slip of the tongue, indicated that Larry Potts, who was also in charge of Ruby Ridge and Waco, was an apparent contact for him, which is he's the after Waco, I think he was like promoted to deputy director of the FBI or something like that. Like it's a messy fucking. They got a lot better at it by the time 9/11 rolled around.
Yeah, it definitely seems like this was the practice run on it, doesn't it? Because you've got the elements, you've got the vehicle in the 9/11's case, you've got the plane hits the building, and then you've got the demolitions charges already in, haven't you?
Yeah, that's gonna be a fucking doozy to break down, but
yeah,
that's essentially like the long and short that I have on.
Well, it's all right. It's all right. The official story is definitely absolutely true because I watched MythBusters.
Well, all I remember is the BBC told me I was racist and had a small penis for doubting the official narrative. So, yeah.
I mean, it is true.
Shabos. Myth Shabos.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
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 All right. Do we need to delve into anything else here, or
If you've got more, you can go for it. It's still got another 25 minutes left if you want it.
I mean, we can do a short bit on the Operation Dipole Mite.
What's that?
That is, was it believe? Was that ATF?
Most probably, because they seem like the only law enforcement agency that was actually working in like the whole of America.
Well, it was a project that they did where essentially they just like went out in the desert and just like built a bunch of like fucking car bombs and just went and
As
blew
you
up a
do.
bunch of shit in order to just like test the effects on like quote unquote government buildings and whatnot. So they essentially just like took that and turned it live.
Do you know what this is starting to sound like? To me, it sounds like this bureau is just like, we don't really have that much work to do. Hey, do you fancy driving out into the desert and like letting off some fireworks? Oh yeah, that could be fun. We'll all have to write it up and justify what we did today. So try not to drink too many beers, guys.
Yeah, so that would be Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. The Dipole Mite project, initiated in 1990, provided for the first comprehensive scientific analysis of large-scale, 50 to 5,000 pounds vehicle bombs. It's a multinational endeavor which uses computer-aided design program to analyze various effects of vehicle bomb blasts. The experiments have been carried out by the Defense Threat Reduction Agency and the U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center at the White Sands Missile Range in Mexico. The nominal intent of the DM program was to familiarize BATF agents with the truck bomb debris patterns and to calibrate the effect of vehicular explosions on a variety of materials and structures. The DM instruments are heavily instrumented with diagnostic equipment.
Of course, you haven't mentioned the most interesting fact about the ATF. Beavis and Butthead are honorary agents of the Bureau.
I did not know that.
Tell him how it explain.
No,
You can't
no,
just,
you do.
You can't just leave us with a fact like that.
Yeah, so Beavis and Butthead meet Bill Clinton, and he's very pleased because they managed to prevent the accidental detonation of this chemical nerve gas agent. So Bill Clinton's like, I'm going to make you guys honorary agents of the tobacco,
Did they
alcohol, and
basically
firearms.
give Bill Clinton the same notes and the same voice as the always whacking off? You boys are always whacking off.
Torch.
In a torch.
No, you guys better not be whacking off in my White House, or you'll be ended up suicided. So, those damn kids.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
Georgia Guide. Well, we talked about the Georgia Guidestones earlier. Do you want to talk about the was it the Denver airport? Because that's a little bit weird and NWO-y, isn't it?
Fuck, what's that one again? I can't remember.
That's the one with the big
Denver.
fucking the Nazi with the big fucking bayonet on it. You remember that one? The Nazi stormtrooper with the bayonet. It's been painted over now, hasn't it?
It's a jihadi with a cloak, and he's got a gas mask on, a scimitar, and a Kalashnikov. And there's a bunch of like dead children underneath him, and there's some planes spraying what I'm going to just say is a green noxious gas.
Yeah.
And there's like children skeletons underneath him.
Yeah, this is in an international airport. Have you not seen this before, Rock?
Yeah, no, I remember this one. I'm looking at it right now.
That's the sort of thing you want to see. That is definitely the sort of thing you want to see.
I'm looking at this one is a child with a penguin in a glass case, and then there's like 3 like butt children, and there's like fires and another what looks like a phoenix perhaps in a glass case, and just all the animals look weird and not like stuff you'd find on Earth.
They say Denver has got lots of underground tunnels, and there's a deep underground military base there.
Children of the world dream of peace.
Oh, I'm just looking at that one. Quite a prominent Palestine and Israel flag together there. America and France, Germany, England,
So you're
and
telling me
Ireland.
nativist concern had something to do with the interior design?
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, these things are weird. Oh, and then there's a statue of the jihadi we were talking about earlier that's on its side and broken. Strange.
Oh, there's a
strange
statue
stuff.
of it as well.
Yeah.
There's demonic horse
on
statues
this
the
mural that we're talking about, there's a picture of that jihadi as a statue that's fallen over and broken. Strange stuff.
They got demonic horses there as well, you know, spiky bits and
is it the
red
demonic
glowing
horse? It's a sculpture, isn't it? The demonic horse.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a gargoyle as well.
Yeah, you know, just not nice, normal things.
Yeah,
it's what you want to see when you go into an airport.
I mean, you pull it up to the
monsters
airport and you
demons.
see that I've just put in Discord. You'd feel really, you know, this is something I really want to. This is going to be a nice place.
Yeah.
We hear your cry for liberation as we too now face that hateful legacy of greed and power. We choose instead to join you and pronounce a season change from the roots of struggle and trust. I can't read that one. Underneath a positive future compassion.
Gay.
That weird, like, three-headed thing. Have you seen that one? Weird, like, three-faced thing. Skeletons around it. And oh, Jesus. Who'd want to go to an airport that's got that on the wall? That is absolutely crazy.
Oh, there's a the photograph there of the demonic horse. To be fair, I mean, that horse doesn't look as demonic as this weird demon statue I saw in Marble Arch 5 years ago.
Yeah?
I decided I didn't want to go into London.
Oh my God, it's
since
even got
then.
a proper fucking butthole in it. That's
But of course.
There's the horse's butthole.
What?
Look. The horse has got a butthole, but it's also got like a fucking spider or something inside on its tackle.
Isn't that supposed to be like veins? Either way, it's just
God knows. It's
of all
just,
the things
it's just plain unsettling, isn't it?
Looks like it looks like it has like a fucking butt plug shoved up there.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Of all the things the sculptor could spend time doing, it just...
Oh, they are veins, because you can see... I found a close-up of the head. There's the head of the demonic horse. It's Denver International Airport, if anybody's listening, obviously they can't go in.
So if you fancy a trip to Colorado, this is the airport to go to.
Yeah, lovely. Absolutely lovely, isn't it? Oh, the child in the coffin. Have you seen that one?
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that definitely makes me feel... That's the sort of thing I want to be reminded of as I go into a pressurized container.
When you go through the thing. Kind of weird flags around it as well.
You want to bang the dead child? That's what you do in Hollywood. You want to no.
But I'm surprised there isn't a slice of pizza in there somewhere.
Or some triangular patterns. So I mean, is it a loosh farm? Is that like what it's doing? It's like it's harvesting people's misery and suffering.
Seems like it, doesn't it? Yeah. PPP was talking about this the other day, wasn't he? He was saying about saying that that the demons they don't want you Miserable. Don't want you doing the fun sins. They literally want you sitting there watching paint dry, don't they, on the wall?
Well, I mean, I think that's what happens. You get sort of lured in, like with these women and men, into cheap casual sex.
Oh, there's even a. Oh, who's the one with the wolf head? Is that Anubis?
Yeah.
There's even an Anubis with his suitcase.
Yeah. It's like you're literally coming to the airport of the dead. In other words, because isn't Anubis the one who guides them to the underworld? And there's like a crocodile god which eats you if you've been naughty.
Yeah.
But I seem to I wanted to get briefly on the point about like demons just want like people to be very bored, and that's the sort of suffering they really enjoy. Because the casual sex and stuff like that takes the joy from people to the point where they can't really feel anything. And they keep on having sex just to fill the void and end up getting a bunch of STDs.
Yeah. Strange.
And I don't know what it is, but it seems like whenever it's nighttime, like there's all this like agricultural equipment starts like, hey, look, the sun's gone down. Yeah, it's time to start working the fields, guys.
Yeah. Oh, God, they now have a talking gargoyle at the Denver airport.
Have these guys watched Gremlins? Is that it?
What's going on there? That's what I want to know. There's a statue of a... Oh, that's another airport, I think.
Hey, you know where I saw a lot of this information was from? Do you remember Jesse Ventura did that show Conspiracy Theory?
Yeah.
They covered Denver International Airport and that.
Yeah. Well, so what did he say then?
This is sick. This is demonic. I don't like this sort of stuff. This is wrong. I like Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, me too.
The first season of that was pretty good.
Is he kind of like...
There was an episode...
Is Jesse Ventura, is he doing a bit? Doing a bit. Is he doing the Alex Jones bit?
Well, he went on the Alex Jones show a couple of months before the show came out. It was like, I'm going to do this show about conspiracy theories, Alex. I think this is important.
If and then I remember there was this kick your ass.
Yeah. I remember it's like, this show will make you a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Strap this in your sore ass, Alex.
There was a what was it? There was this video where Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura gets invited onto Willie Nelson's bus.
Oh, I've just seen a picture that'll interest you, Hobbit, from... it's a weird glass-looking womb.
Just briefly.
Go on then, finish.
I was going to say that, so I'm looking at this picture now, but... So yeah, they're on the bus, and Jesse and Willie Nelson are both stoned off their tits. Alex Jones is just like, I'm going to smoke you guys.
What is that representing, Hobbit? It looks to me like it's kind of representing a deep underground base.
Well, people keep telling me it's like it's the major airport. Oh, yeah, this diagram here.
Yeah.
Or sort of as above, so below.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't know, but I got to say, the Colorado Freemasons, explain yourselves.
Yeah.
What's going on? I mean, do you want people to think you're practicing Satanists?
Do you want people to go to that airport or not?
All right, we're back.
Oh, you've been gone.
Hey, welcome back.
I wonder why you was quiet for so long. You got anything to add to the Denver International Airport? You ever been through there?
I have not. I cannot think of a single reason
why you'd want to.
Maybe. Yeah.
But all the art and architecture there. Plus, you get to be in Denver.
I guess if you're really into the fucking Avalanche or something.
Everything's like bizarrely demonic, isn't it? I mean, look at this thing that they've got in the middle.
Yeah, but I mean, the Denver airport has always been like one of these things that the creative and you know woke conspiracy theorists have always been on about. It's like the Georgia Guidestones, Denver airport.
Yeah, but these things, if they're not conspiracies, why are they fucking trying so hard to make it look like they are?
Well, I think it's kind of like the same thing as with what's that spirit cooking bitch called again?
Maria Abramovich.
Is it Mariana Abramovich or something?
I mean, there's a woman who she's 70 years old, but she looks like she's in her 30s or 40s. She's got to be drinking tiger's blood or something.
Eating fucking leopard nut. Yeah, I think it's like kind of like the same thing happening there. We're just like I don't know if she's in direct contact with Satan. Probably just like a weirdo.
Yeah, she's a weirdo, but she's definitely making blood sacrifices, and I purely judge that the fact that no 70-year-old looks like that.
It's that the baby foreskins.
Good living. It's just good living. That's what it is. Good living, good diet.
Yeah, good diet of baby foreskins harvested from the South Korean babies, or worst Korea.
Ugh.
Which you can find on last week's episode if you're interested to know why worst Korea is the South.
Yeah,
I heard something along those lines. But isn't that something that they actually did? Like, had like baby foreskins turn them into like fucking like
yeah, it's anti-aging cream.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's full of stem cells, so women just rub like a paste of baby foreskins on their face.
Oh, did you read
to
that?
Fill out their wrinkles.
Did you ever hear that bit about China? The bit where they were buying fetuses for about $2 each and eating them.
Yeah, well,
I mean, as you do.
Yeah,
as you do.
As you do when you're
That's
insect
ching-chong
people.
chinkies for you. I mean, they cook dogs alive in wok, so you know I wouldn't put anything past those people.
Yeah, oh, that's disgusting.
I mean, hello. We interrupt the show to bring you a musical interlude.
Yeah. I don't know what fucking.
Exactly what we did.
Something that's just randomly started up.
Yeah. You know, that's life.
So are we about done here? Any more?
Well, I just the idea that women are paying like top dollar for a jar of baby dicks to rub on their faces. I mean, is that gay? Is that sexy? Is that pedo?
Not right.
I don't know what to think of that.
I'm just kind of like grossed out a little bit.
I mean, I suppose it beats putting belladonna in their eyes, but literally they're engaging in cannibalism to reduce the signs of wrinkles.
Oh, this random shit that keeps.
Professional podcast, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so. Speaking of which, are you aware of our registered UK charity number 1488, Microphones for Racists? You can donate just free.
The sister organisation, Chairs for Racists.
Oh yeah, that's registered charity number 3717.
What about Sound Engineers for Racists? We don't need that anymore, though, do we?
What sound engineers?
I did need it when I started live streaming, but I don't need it anymore.
Acquired taste. Tim Shan Turangisu and Charlemagne the God try fertilized duck fetus.
Lovely. Fertilised. Yeah, I've seen that before. The egg, isn't it? They have the egg and they don't they kind of soak it in something until it's. Isn't it virgin piss or is that something else?
Boy's piss.
Virgin boy's piss.
Well, it's just assumed that 5-year-old boy is not gonna, have sex.
I think you two have depressed me now.
Oh well. On the there is a positive to this.
Yeah.
Hasn't been many buildings blowing up since then, but there's been a few aircraft carriers catching on fire, which, as well as the nuclear reactor in Israel having to shut down because of jellyfish, which has nothing in any way, shape, or form to do with Iran. Because a nuclear facility in Iran recently burnt down.
Yeah, I'm sure that the Jesuits had nothing to do with that.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, a lot of people saying it's incompetence in the Navy, that these highly technical systems, because of diversity, they just can't run the damn things. I'm not so sure. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. If they do manage to white genocide us, we'll have our final revenge, won't we? When planes dropping out the sky, cars won't run, roads will be falling apart.
All sorts of diseases will be released from the SEALs in the biowarfare labs.
Do you ever wonder if this is not the first time that society has completely failed? If you know what I mean.
Well, there was the fall of Atlantis. I mean, that's well enough documented.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's been plenty of cataclysms before. How many, I don't know. Was Atlantis the most recent one? Because they just talk about how the Egyptians were refugees from Atlantis.
Mm.
But, I mean, this one that we got now,
like
maybe people in the future will say, oh, they might have said it was self-inflicted, like they just lost the will and kept calling each other racist rather than saying, yeah, why do we have these people in our lands?
Yeah.
But it may be that in future they'll say, actually, here's the external factors which resulted in the collapse of this civilization, which they wouldn't have known about, or they did know about it, but they weren't aware of, like solar cycles.
They're gonna look up our podcasts in 1,000 years and be like, yeah, no, these dudes like spent 25 minutes talking about some like retarded black tranny in a wheelchair. Pretty cool.
Nice. Right. On that note, I think I'm gonna put a pin in it. Thanks, Rock, for coming on.
Yeah,
where can
no
everybody
worries.
find you, or can't they?
I don't want you to find.
Yeah, seeking you shall find.